There are essentially two big problems in the pharmaceutical area which relate to the failures of or the weaknesses of the system. The first is uh, obviously people are searching for a temporary monopoly in a drug which has value. And that only has value if there's a reasonably profitable market. And there are a great many products for which there's not a profitable market. It might be because the people who are affected by the disease are very, very poor. There are a lot of diseases which are specific to poor people. It can also be actually that it's a one-off drug. You know, a drug that people will have to take for the rest of their lives is ideal. A drug that actually cures them is a catastrophe. I mean, and we know, for example, as a result, it's well known, there's very little research into antibiotics and to improvement in antibiotics, or was very little research, which is incredibly important because we're running into resistance in many areas. So it's not just poor people, it's also the question of what sort of things you want. So Viagra is great and statins are great, but other drugs are not so wonderful. And the other problem is when you've got diseases that do actually affect the rich and poor. Heart disease, cardiovascular diseases are common to all of humanity. But if you charge prices which the very rich can pay, the poor can't pay them. It's completely impossible because the differences in incomes per head across the world are so vast, sort of the extreme about 100 to 1 across countries. So you have to find some way of allowing the drug to be sold at marginal cost, which is just the cost of production, which is very, very low in poor countries, and try and manage the parallel trade, the trade coming back. It's difficult to do, but I see no alternative. In the former case, where there's simply no incentive, you have to offer prizes, you have to subsidize research, you can do this from private endowments or a mixture of private and public, but the patent system will not do the job. So we've got to think of what are the incentives to create and use important intellectual property, of which the intellectual property rights system is a part, but it's not the answer, and in some areas it's clearly an obstacle.